What's up, guys? Nate here. These are my unfiltered thoughts on the pre-release RAICHU. This has been long rumored to be a card. David Person is the guy who actually owns both of these, so shout out to Dave. I was lucky enough to interview him on my channel. If you are interested in that, be sure to dig up my old Poke Talk videos where I interview a few people. But Dave is a wonderful guy. I've communicated with him multiple times through Instagram, through our live talk that we've had, just many different avenues. No matter what people say about him, you got to know that this guy is genuine. He may come off very odd, but shout out to Dave. Love the guy. He's very genuine, and he really, in my opinion, does have the most complete English Pokemon collection. There's a lot of people who claim to have that, but as far as variants and different errors and stuff, Dave really has it all. So go check out Dave. He does have a YouTube channel. He does have a podcast that he does with DJ Gigabyte. That is one of the most informative podcasts on the planet right now. Super underrated, so be sure to go check that out. Both are extremely knowledgeable. Dave's the money man. Dan, who is DJ Gigabyte, is the knowledge man. So it's really cool to hear those guys talk, and they go way back. As far as the pre-release RAICHU itself, this is the story, right? CGC has graded 2 pre-release RAICHUs. Before, no grading company would even touch these. It was rumored that, is this card even gradable? Because no matter what the story is we're about to read, I have not read this article. But we are about to go through this article real quick and me kind of give you my thoughts. No matter what this article is about to say, I've heard that there is some conflicting information. TCA Gaming, Rusty, the true gem of the hobby, did a video on this, and I did just watch that video. I highly recommend checking that out. I'm not going to go into the details of other cards and other WotC employee communications that we've had outside of this article, but Rusty really does a good job. He pulls up some old emails all the way back from 2012 where he had direct communication with, I believe it was a product manager of WotC. And there has been some conflicting information that they have given him. And over the course of the entire hobby, there has been multiple sources in contact with multiple other sources within WotC. Some stories proved to be very true. Rusty did kind of go off to say that this lady had texted him or emailed him, we're talking 2012, that there was such a thing as first edition Shadowed set, that she had one of those. And it wasn't until years later where Rusty himself came across one of these sheets that was meant for Australia. So some things like that you kind of took for granted back then. Oh, maybe it's real, maybe it's not, maybe they're just BSing, maybe they're saying they have all this cool stuff and they don't. But some of it actually did turn out to be somewhat true, because those items that were mentioned and never seen have popped up. It's very interesting to see that video. Like I said, I can't recommend it enough. There's an instance where there were many different colors of the pre-release Clefable talked about, and a lot of those were different colors of the pre-release stamp. So could those exist out there somewhere? Who knows? But on the flip side, there is a lot of conflicting information, like there being only about 50 no damage Ninetales out there, but we know 2 people, Nick Old School Pokemon and Rusty TCA Gaming. Between those 2, that pretty much accounts for all 50, and we know there's others out there. So bottom line is, through the years, we have to take what info we know from WotC employees and what they've told us and kind of take it with a grain of salt. But let's go ahead and break this down real quick. Just going to kind of skim through the article. I wanted to just kind of basically say that, but I'll link the article below. It's really interesting read. This, however, right here is what's expected or suspected to be the sheet that these came on. These are the holos from the theme decks. So it was expected to make production more efficient and have all the holos, which makes sense. It also makes sense for them to throw a Clefable on there. What doesn't make sense is, why is this Raichu there? What was the intention here, right? Why didn't they just do 2 Clefables and just print more Clefables? It's very odd that this Raichu shows up on this specific sheet. And this is where the pre-release stamp Clefable, it's rumored that maybe some of the Raichus got stamped on accident, or maybe they stamped them both. Maybe there was an intention to release these cards. Pre-release Raichu, that is. There's conflicting stories, so I'm not going to go into the details of any certain story. You can read this article, and also watch Rusty TCA Gaming's video and kind of judge what the most likely outcome is. So it's really impressive, though. I'm glad to see CGC took steps to authenticate this card. It really goes into a lot of submissions and the history of the card, talking about PokeGym in 2006 when the image of the card first showed up, which I believe is this one. This is like the OG PokeGym. This is basically what E4 is today. Really niche hobby back then, and PokeGym was where it was at. This is Mike Boozer browsing PokeGym, and he has a uncut base set. So this is essentially one of the key characters of this whole story, how he came about these cards, and he basically confirmed that he owned it, and he also told his story. But he was very active in the forums, and he was around. He knew what special items were. So that's kind of the legitimacy of this story. This card, essentially card number 1, was sold to PokeGym forum member Will Gore. There's a lot of history with him in the hobby. Submitted to another third-party grading service, which refused to authenticate it. You know, obviously PSA most likely. He only preferred to have graded cards in his collection, so he ended up selling it to David Person, 2009. So he has owned it ever since. Now this is the CGC 8 number 2 Raichu. Andrew Finch had claimed that there were 11 pre-release Raichu cards made in 1999. Mike Boozer's example was only one to have ever been publicly shown until now. And Dave Person on his channel actually had a few videos where he actually showed this card off before. But, you know, keeping the details vague, there's a Jennifer M that is brought into the picture on November 6, 2018. She, I guess, brought her old binder to her new job at the Pokemon Company International, and all of a sudden one of these showed up. She was unaware of the significance of the card. I don't know. But long story short, Person eventually got this copy too. The article also goes into details of the actual stamp and how they color grade these and actually can scan the card to see the actual contents. So we're going to do another deep dive video on this probably next week. I just wanted to kind of get a quick video out there and, you know, make sure the news is known about the pre-release Raichu, but this can be kind of taken with ill intent. You know, some people trying to replicate these might be able to check out this information, but yeah, we're going to do a deep dive on this next week, guys. I just wanted to kind of do a quick video. Like, no matter what stories you hear, that's kind of what Rusty was getting at too. No matter what stories you hear, it's not really a question of, is the card authentic? Is it like the materials and everything authentic? So it's nice to see that subjectively, you know, with the data we know, we are able to authenticate this card, showing that it is a real Pokemon card, it is a real stamp. So a lot of the problem in the past has been the story. So we're going to do a deep dive, and maybe I'll touch on that next week as well. But there's a lot more to the pre-release Raichu that we're not seeing. So stay tuned for that video, guys. Just wanted to make you guys aware of the situation, and mostly just aware of Rusty's video, because honestly, you guys need to go watch that video. He does a much better job. That's why I'm keeping it short here. Does not do any justice to the situation than what Rusty said, and his video was good enough that I'm happy just to make a video and send you guys there. So go check that out, and maybe we'll do a deep dive video next week. So thanks for watching, guys. Peace.